I think they've been here a lot longer than us. They will be here a lot longer than we will.
That makes us the aliens, if
Yes.
there is such a thing.
Non-modern human, because that's the best way to put it. When you say alien, it's a derogatory term. They can be humans as well, from maybe future, maybe another alternate reality.
I'm 90% sure that, okay, maybe we've developed at a certain pace, but then at certain points in our evolution that other beings have jumped in and helped us evolve. Like, I know with this mention of the Anunnaki from earlier times, brought new technology, new ideas, certainly to the Syrian culture, but then similar things happening in Chinese culture, Indian culture, South American culture, and who knows where else, because the too big a jump in our evolution. Oh, that's happened many times, isn't it? We go along at a stable pace and all of a sudden, boom, we're capable to do this. And this, to me, it's an important background point to what we are calling aliens.
So here we are again.
Here we are again,
Yes.
just like that. Magic.
So alien or aliens,
Ah,
UFO, UAP. So what are they?
what a big question. Well, I have some fairly strong ideas about that. I mean, UFOs have been seen since forever that we know of, and they come in many, many shapes and forms. And to me, they are signs of intelligence, possibly from other dimensions, certainly from other places, and maybe even from Earth itself. What do you think, Marnie? How do you see UFOs?
I think they've been here a lot longer than us.
Yes.
I mean, not the vehicles itself, but the entities. Let's say non-modern human entities. 'Cause that's the best way to put it. When you say aliens, it can be. It's a derogatory term towards anything besides humans. So I think non-modern human, because they can be humans as well, from maybe future, maybe another alternate reality. So I think they've been here a lot longer than us, and there will be here a lot longer than we will.
That makes us the aliens.
Yes.
If
Yes.
there is such a thing.
Yeah. And yeah, actually, that's a theory, panspermia. Panspermia? Yeah, I think so. That we have been seeded here from somewhere else. Like we've been developed in early stages of development as a creature or a species, and
Yes.
then with some type of ejecting rock from another galaxy or something, we came on Earth and we start the life on Earth. That's a theory. So we are aliens in that term,
Yes.
or extraterrestrial. But
That's a much kinder name, isn't it?
yes, it has a different definition, at least,
Yes.
like out of this.
Just on that point, Marnie, I I'm 90% sure that, okay, maybe we've developed at a certain pace, but then at certain points in our evolution that other beings have jumped in and helped us evolve. Like, I know with this mention of the Anunnaki from earlier times that brought new technology, new ideas, certainly to Syrian culture, wasn't it? Have I got it right there?
Uh,
First,
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
yep. But then similar things happening in Chinese culture, Indian culture, South American culture, and who knows where else. Because it's too big a jump in our evolution. Oh, that's happened many times, isn't it? We go along at a stable pace, and all of a sudden, boom, we're capable to do this and this and this. So to me, I know this is a slight sidetrack, but to me, it's an important background point to what we are calling aliens. That they're probably those that are helping us to be what we are today, or some of them anyway.
Mm. I guess the point with it is that we mainly assume that they don't exist, or it's just uh, not a serious topic to talk about.
Yes.
And partially it comes from our scholars and scientists, the way they, I mean, not all the scientists, but the mainstream scientists, they barely even look at it and say, oh, no, 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 don't get crazy. Let's talk about serious stuff. We not, don't get silly.
Mm.
And it just kills the idea right there and then. It doesn't open up discussions, doesn't open up possibilities, like, oh, let's hypothesize, let's go through different uh, possible ways that, as you say, they might influence our evolution, or they might create us from the scratch.
Yes.
As it says in the Bible, God create humans in his own image. So, well, God or gods or another race of intelligence entities, there are endless possibility that how they uh, influence
Yeah.
human life, how they interact with us. But when we talk about it, like in the, if you want to talk in a most acceptable way, we cannot mention these possibilities. It's just like, no, evolution, and then it started in the sea and then came out and this and that, and after a couple million years, here we are, human beings, and we watch YouTube video while taking a shit, and that's it. That's
Today?
you don't need to know anything more, or you don't need to question. That's pretty much it.
Yes.
And I'm very glad nowadays. A couple of brilliant minds like Dr. Gary Nolan and Avi Loeb, they started to go against that narrative, and they have the credential in science to not be put down easy or easily. They are as knowledgeable as those mainstream scientists, and they can go toe to toe with them and say like, no, you are kind of full of shit.
Yes.
Just it's not science if you try to mock someone of their ideas. It's not a productive process to, I hear you out, and then I
Yes.
found something silly with what you're saying, and then say like, oh yeah, because of this, all the rest of 99% things that you just explained are nonsense. And that's the approach. That's the approach with, I mean, not only about this topic, the aliens
Mm.
or non-modern human entities, is with everything else. They try to keep things the same. They're in that business. They try to keep things the same. They try
Yes.
to keep the physics the same as it is. They try to keep mathematics as it is. And if it was if it was completely self-explanatory and like it was explaining everything for us, I would be fine with it. But there are plenty of things that we don't know, and with the uh, current approach, it feels like we would never know. So we need different approaches. We need new ideas.
Marnie, you're a brave man to suggest that. But I agree with you. But when you think about it, there are a lot of things against that happening. Number one, political. You know, why have there been so many cover-ups from governments? At least in the 1900s, you know, things get dismissed as weather balloons or whatever, light phenomena, blah 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 blah, because then they lose control. There is someone out there that might be have more power than they do. Um, for example, um, and then we could look at the religious aspect too. That um, if there's some other power out there, maybe it's someone bigger than God. Maybe it's God Himself, and then we're going to have some answering to do to this God, etc. You know, so I totally agree with what you say, Marnie, but I see some very big powers that hinder that, unfortunately.
I think the thing that most saddened me is that, like, in our history, scientists were the front runner of discovering, figuring things out, and come up with new ideas and actually getting to some kind of truth about at least basic things that we got wrong by religion, by just not trying a scientific method to get
Mm.
the answer. But now they become the cult of science. Now
Yes.
they turned to church in like the how do you say what's the middle age, like
Uh, yeah, the Dark
the
Ages.
dark ages.
Yes. Yeah.
They function exactly the same way that church was
Mm.
functioning, and try to like stop any narratives that was against or contradictory to their main narrative. And now unfortunately there are scientists that are sadly very popular in mainstream media, and they try to do exactly the same thing. And I'm glad that some brave scientists, public figures that came out against it, and try to establish a narrative that give rise to this kind of pattern of thoughts. Like, okay, yeah, if you have a personal experience with something that you cannot explain,
Mm. Yes.
you don't have to be ridiculed.
Mm.
This culture of ridicule and dismissal, like right away dismiss someone because they say something that uh,
But
is kind of hard to imagine.
mm. But that's like a power play thing again, isn't it? You know, that person that questions is questioning your power, your knowledge. You know. Unfortunately, yes, I really see what you're saying, Money.
And is if there wasn't any agenda behind it, then it would be like, okay, yeah, it's his personal opinion, or like based on what he understand from universe and reality, he's saying that. But it's not even that. There is an agenda. There is an agenda to protect, and that agenda brings the money to table for those scientists, and
Mm.
they try to keep the same narrative and like just debunk anything that try to like diminish or slightly change the narrative. And that's very sad because uh,
Yes.
we are on at the age of information and knowledge, and these people are gatekeepers, and they try to hold on and not let anyone with the sorry, with the new or different ideas in, because then they're kind of out of business, they're out of date, and they try to hold on to
Yes.
what they have and what they have going on. And I'm really glad like some scientists like Dr. Gary Nolan and uh, Avi Loeb, they start like some type of foundation, Soul Foundation, and they try to actually make a safe place for people to express their ideas, express their
Mm.
experiences, however unlikely it is. And I think if a person has some personal experience with these things, with this, it doesn't even need to be UFO or aliens or non-modern human entity.
Yeah.
Anything that you cannot explain with our understanding of what is going on. Anything. I guess if you have that paranormal experience in whatever level, then it changes something in you. Changes in the way that if you
Definitely.
hear something that is not just ordinary or little out of imagination, you're not gonna go to it with the intention to dismiss it or debunk it.
Yes.
You open to hear it out, and that's all I want. Like, uh,
I would like to say something about how I see us as humans at this point, and that is that we really, as we all know, have two parts to us. We have our intellect, and we have, you could say, our heart or our feeling nature, which is really us. It's the real us. And what I think happens a lot, especially in Western culture anyway, is we give no value to this, to the heart, and we give all credit to our thoughts, our intellect. We go to school and we're taught to be smart, and those that get A grades, they're the top ones. The rest are, etc. And to me, that creates an imbalance in how we perceive life. We're expecting to have nuts and bolts and see this UFO land, and it's going to be made out of weird materials, and there'll be weird looking people, because this is something that comes from in our head. And there's probably a lot of truth in that. But if we learn to observe and experience life from our feelings, from our heart, then we're going to realize that really what you were saying, it's going to open us up to perceiving life in a totally different way. And realize, like we talked about with quantum physics before, that what we see as a solid table, that's just what our head says. But reality is something, well, quantum physics gives us another form of reality to that.
yeah, exactly. And it feels like it's been designed that way. So we obey and stay in line and do things
Yes.
as it requires by establishments. And I guess scientists that were rebels, they just got involved with the establishments and authorities in all the way possibles, uh, all the ways possible, and That's the thing that is a problem now for average Joe like me, that I don't have any credit to me to fight those established scientists, and uh, my word doesn't have any weight on it. But as I said, I'm glad that some people
Yes.
with the credential, with the degree, and being like very well known in the science community, they went against them.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Mm,
I was thinking of another aspect of this again now
mm,
too. If you think of the likes of Leonardo da Vinci or Nikola Tesla, Einstein, of course, they really function in a different way too. They function probably how we're naturally meant to function. They have the ability to tap into a greater source of wisdom and information through the heart, and then use the head to bring it back to here.
to make sense out of it.
Yeah, and make sense out of it. That sounds familiar. um, but to me, that's sort of, backing up what I hear you saying. That we get stuck in this little picture here. But I don't really think we're meant to be like that. I think we're all meant to be Teslas and Einsteins to some degree. We all have the potential for that. And if we have that, then understanding UFOs and aliens shifts the whole, how can I say, viewpoint of what to expect to explain what they are.
Yeah, the thing that I can add to what you're saying is to have a to make a breakthrough, you need to use both your heart and your brain
Yes.
to connect to that frequency of knowledge and ideas, because I think ideas, like, they can be a life form itself, that you need to connect with them through your
Oh, yes.
heart,
Yeah.
and then somehow channel it with your mind to the reality, to existence in reality. And I think Nikola Tesla was a great example on that. Einstein. And nowadays it feels like that's the thing that is missing, and it's by design that is missing. It's not a coincidence. Is And they try to keep it that way. They try to keep us almost like in this frame of thought that no, don't think about anything outside this frame of possibility that we create here. And if you want to have a career, if you want to be have any credit as a scientist, you have to just follow this pattern,
Absolutely.
footsteps.
Yeah.
And if you step out, we're gonna crash you. We're gonna
Yes.
ridicule you. We're gonna destroy your career and your
Take
personal
away your
life.
funding.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We're not gonna
Ooh.
invest on you, and that's a sad thing. And I mean, who knows how many bright minds and smart geniuses just gave up because they didn't see
Oh,
any future.
yeah.
They didn't even dare to come up with their theories and uh, have some type of discussion over it.
Well, look what happened to Galileo when he tried to, I think it's Galileo, might have my facts right here, when he tried to propose that the Earth went round the sun.
Mm,
And I mean, he got in big doo-doos over that,
yeah.
seriously, from the church, because it was challenging status quo. But where he got that idea from, well, we don't know, but very, very feeling, very intelligent being, obviously, outside of the system.
I think we both need philosophy and scientific
Of
methods
course.
to be
Yeah.
able to
Mm.
come up with a decent enough conclusion about any topic.
I really think that what we're saying now, Marnie, is very, very relevant to this alien UFO thing, because wherever people come from, they're going to expect to get an answer from here or from there, or hopefully somewhere in the middle. But they're probably not going to be what we think they're going to be. We have to really, if we're going to make sense of this, we need to have a much broader platform to work from within us.
Open platform.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
So they're open to discussions, and they're
Yes.
open to hear out these abductees, these people who just witness UFOs or witness something that they cannot explain. I understand, like, not everything that you see and is questionable for you is something that caused by you. It's not the UFO or aliens, or
No,
but
of course not.
if you don't get to if you don't get hurt by so-called experts, then, or if you don't even dare to mention it to someone, as I'm going to talk about my personal experience, that, well, when I saw something in 2015, when I saw plenty of lights moving in the sky, standing, and then disappearing like with a rapid speed, and I couldn't explain it. Then I tried to, the day after, because it was in the middle of the night, the day after, I tried to explain to people that were close to me, but the the way that they couldn't even pretend that they don't think I'm crazy. And I was like, but I'm not a cuckoo crazy person. I'm a very reasonable. I'm not a like out of my. I'm not out of my mind. I'm very. I know what I saw, and I'm not saying it's aliens or UFOs or something. I just say I cannot explain it. That's why I'm telling you this story,
Yes.
like what happened to me, so we can find some type of answers. And I look for it. I look to see if anyone else witnessed it that night. I exactly remember, when was it? 12th of December 2015.
Okay.
And
Wow. It's made a big impact on you. Remember the date.
yeah, and it was around midnight, 1:30, something like that. And and I couldn't. But the way that people treated me, I dropped it.
Yeah.
I dropped it in a sense
Because
that I.
you were threatening their status quo, aren't you? You're threatening their picture of what's real.
Mm,
Coming up with something that's, yeah.
like their personal belief and personal
Yes.
understanding, and they don't want to have that challenged
No.
or changed.
No. Never.
So, as I was saying, then I understand like how it feels to witness something that you cannot explain, and then being ridiculed by people that you expect
Yeah.
understanding from,
Yes.
and but just how do you say, just measure it up to a scientist that have an idea or have an experience, and they try to like go to the someone that is like expert in that area and try to discuss it. Of course they're not gonna do it.
No.
At least like within last 30 years or 40 years, that government actively try to debunk and ridicule and make fun of all those sightings, all those phenomena that has been witnessed by people, mass UFO sightings. They there are project that is coming out, Project Blue Book, that it was the main soul of it was to debunk all the sightings from Roswell sighting to all the different sightings, Phoenix lights in the sky. They just went through it, and the person that was in charge of that project afterwards came out and came out as a believer. The person that was
Yeah.
debunking all those
Yeah.
sightings came out as a believer. So that shows there is something, and
Yes.
there are entities. We cannot call them aliens. There are entities
Yes. Well said. Yeah.
that we might not like it, but we need to accept it, and we need to be open to discussion about them, and we need to prepare our minds to receive the news and information about it.
And if I may say, not to expect one answer, but probably endless answers. For example, we know that we've already talked about the Anunnaki type beings that have always been there and probably still are right now. In fact, I'm sure they are. But then we have other sightings around military bases and around nuclear arms facilities, etc. And to me, they're not having the same function at all. To me, those ones that we see are taking care of the planet, making sure that we don't blow it up. And I know during World War II, they were referred to as Foo Fighters. And they were lights that would follow alongside fighter planes. I'm not quite sure what they were doing, but it was a very common experience. And then there are those that seem to come and go, that like vanish into nothing. And I don't know what their function is, but they are probably entities that can move between dimensions quickly. And I don't know what they're doing here, but and then there are there are two to start with, three to start with, different types of entities, and like I say, I am sure that that the list is endless of what we can expect to find, and then to come down to the level of looking at there are certainly alien entities living amongst us now too. For all I know, one of us three might be, if not all three of us, and we might not even know it ourselves. Says he maliciously.
Yeah, it's highly possible.
And the other thing I want to say here too is that I think we need to give more credit to like mediums and that make contact with other beings and get all sorts of messages about what we need to do and what's happening and that. And it's really easy just to push it aside as mumbo jumbo, hoopsie whoopsie, trash. And I'm sure a lot of it is, but I'm sure a lot of it isn't as well.
You know who doesn't put that aside like whoopsie doopsie? CIA.
Really?
Yeah, they don't.
Well, good
They
on
don't
them.
think mediums or remote viewers or
Oh,
these
yeah.
are mumbo jumbo. They have projects that they were trying to develop that psychic power and pinpoint it like in terms of accuracy. So, but the sad thing is like always militarized. Always try to like use it
Yeah,
in war
as a weapon.
to
Yeah.
see what Russia is doing and this and that instead of like having a like a brighter purpose for it.
Yeah,
To
sure.
see like what is happening down in the ocean at least.
Yeah.
Is there anything going on down there? Is there a base down there? uh, but there are some theories about it that the conspiracy theories about it that they've done that remote viewing,
I wouldn't be at all surprised now that you mention it.
and they found some type of ocean base of. Interestingly enough, they found a base that is filled with machines that creates androids and different vehicles.
Oh,
So, like all type of flying objects
cool.
from the
Like a UFO factory.
yeah, exactly, but different types. So
Yeah.
from the good old flying saucers to the triangles, the boomerang, the tic tac shapes, and of course, it's because you can give credibility as much as a narrative to it, because you cannot prove it. It has been remote viewed,
Yes. Yeah.
but we can at least explore a little more our oceans. I don't know how much. What's the percentage of explored uh, undersea water? Do you know?
I know it's very, very little because I hear people saying often we know less about our oceans than we do about the moon. You know, so it doesn't sound too encouraging that we know too much at all.
And that doesn't sound right either.
Oh, there you go.
So 5%. And
Thank you, voice of God.
and how many percent of Earth is water surface? The surface of Earth, how much
A
of it is water?
lot.
I think 70% or something. How much of it is water? Surface of our planet.
There you go.
I was 1% off.
Whoa.
So
Gee.
if we think about it, if the Earth is 4.2 billion years old, and we know with the climate change, the water covers the land mass of Earth, like it's been through, it went underwater and it rise above the water several times. So if you put that 4.2 billion years and see how many times the map of globe changed during that time, how many land mass went
Oh,
under,
yeah.
how many land mass come up and raise over water, and all the differences, then we cannot say with a certainty, like a fucking common sense brain cannot say with a certainty that no, we didn't find any evidence for ancient civilizations. The latest is 12,000 years ago. Gobekli
Yeah.
Tepe.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you haven't this. Why are you saying that? Say, at least say, with our current with our current exploration,
Sure.
we
Yeah.
can say that it's 12,000 years ago, the oldest monument, the oldest archaeological site that we discovered is 12,000, between 11,600, 11,800 and 12,600 years old. But
Wow.
we need to invest, instead of investing wars and war machines and the war industry, because it's not a just like yeah, I understand you need to protect your borders or country, but you don't need to invest all your budget on a war machine
Yeah.
and create war for it to be able to
True.
make interest and make profits.
Yes.
And if we invest on like just exploring our oceans, exploring our planet, the Amazon, the Amazon hasn't been explored. How many percentage of Amazon has been explored? That's a very interesting one because it can be whatever there.
Mm.
It's a dense green area that nothing is visible, but who knows what they can find there.
Yes.
Explored.
No, sure of that. I know even in the lower reaches of New Zealand, there are places that people have never been. Nothing like the Amazon, but I mean, I'm sure there are many places on Earth unexplored too.
So it doesn't it's not like we don't have people that are curious enough to go to those exploration or
Yes.
try to discover it. It's that we don't give budget, we don't give funding to them. They cannot manage it themselves. They
Yes.
cannot take a team of 20 scientists and archaeologists and what's the term for it? The one that they study the ground.
Or geologists.
Geologists.
Yeah.
And they cannot it's a very you have to have a like a hefty budget to be able to do that.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's just it feels like we don't care about to find answer and to discover. And maybe we understand our planet, maybe we understand our beings, like our
Yeah.
whole history can be rewritten. And we just don't, like in a higher level, we don't care.
Yes. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
true. I have another question too, which might be interesting.
Hmm?
I wonder how we, as a human race, would be without intervention from outside beings, outside entities today. I don't have the answer to that question. I'm just wondering what it would be like
Like it wasn't any if it weren't watched by
if there were no Anunnakis or anyone else helping us.
mm,
I wonder how it would look here today. We certainly wouldn't have this studio with microphones, pretty lamps, and fancy cameras and things, would we?
no, I don't think so.
No.
I think we see the evidence for it. Apes are apes.
Yeah.
Being apes, there are apes, and they will be apes.
Yes.
Even though there are the theory that they enter in the Stone Age,
Mm.
like they're developing, they try to use tools and stuff like that. But still, it's like, yeah, but we are 99% chimpanzee, and look at us. Within 200 years or 300,000 years, we just we're nothing like chimpanzees.
That's my point. Yeah.
And
Thank you. Yeah.
why they stay the same way if there wasn't any intervention, as you say? So it's funny that people that doesn't know that much of biology, or they're not study any type of science, can come up with this like reasonable conclusion. Like, yeah, you're telling me like we are apes and we just somehow, because I don't know how, they
Yeah.
don't even
That's
explain it
yes.
how. They just say,
That's the thing.
yeah, we start cooking our food maybe, and that gives us more protein, so our brain grow more than other
Mm.
like species of whatever. And that doesn't make sense.
The thing is, and I'm not being mean against other animals. I love animals,
Mm.
but do we see any other species making big evolution jumps like humans have made? And I'm not saying we're better than other animals for that, but I wonder if, well, yeah, that's the question.
But we are only a species that we change our environment to adapt to our likings.
Okay, yeah.
That's the thing.
The reason I was asking those questions too is thinking back to the title of what we're working with, making sense of this.
Mm.
Yeah, making sense of, okay, how do extraterrestrial influence, how do extraterrestrials influence us here today, this very day? How much have they made of them has created what we are? That was really what was behind my questions there. And
So you think it was like just one time off?
no, I think it's still going on.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I.
Yeah, and probably will still go on, and maybe Anunnaki are, as you implied earlier, just another form of us from another evolutionary state or another time, because in which case they're helping them create themselves in the future.
We should have a full podcast about Anunnakis.
Yes, absolutely.
Go deep.
Yes, because there are so many. Yes, absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah. But to me, then this is what really gets fascinating with UFOs and aliens. It is us bringing it back to us here today. That makes it real and very personal, isn't it?
Mm. Yeah.
That yeah. And as I've mentioned before, Marnie, I have the honor to do some of my work not in this earthly dimension, but in other dimensions. So I sort of have another take on what we call aliens too.
We should have a whole podcast about that too.
Yes, you're right. This is not the time and place, but sure. I just want to mention the other dimensions, other avenues to look at with this too. Yeah.